Biryani Pe Charcha, can't wait for that show. Hemang, I'm sure you agree with me. So why don't we talk a little bit about some of these players? Maybe get in your take on QSR, the Zomatos of the world.
Good morning. Yeah, it's very tempting to talk about Khana right in the morning. I think QSR as a theme, it had a lot of promise, hopes, but I think somewhere in the last, let's say, few months, the growth is not that great. So as a theme, I think it will continue to do well because of the low penetration and the price point at which they're offering products and the valuations, etc. But I think Zomato is completely big turnaround story, and I've seen how globally some of the food delivery companies have improved their margins, and even their stock price performances have been good, be it US, China, or other parts of the world. So I think Zomato is something that is still looking good. I think the entire blocks, as we have seen how it gets absorbed in the market, and the company continues to perform well. So positive view on Zomato.
116 Ant has sold out. I mean, no one's talking about it. But in the same vein, if you talk about the QSR companies or perhaps restaurants here, whether it is Barbecue Nation or whether it is Divyani International, let's look at the YTD change in some of these stocks. That's Barbecue Nation for you. In this year, it's not given any returns. I mean, it's a restaurant. It's a full service restaurant. I mean, they got a change of restaurants. Divyani International, no returns. Through and Westlife, the company which has the franchise, I think for West and for South, the McDonald franchise, it's giving you not great returns, 11%. So it's quite ironical, right, Hemang? Why everybody's ordering on Zomato, and the restaurants are cooking, but restaurant stocks are not making money. I mean, it's just been a flat year for most of the QSR companies. It's only Zomato which has done well.
Yeah, it's a bit ironical given that the food delivery companies have done so very well. And at the same time, if you look at the penetration levels or the potential that India offers, it's amazing. I think it's partly to do with the fact that while many people are ordering food, I think the way things have gone in terms of pricing and margins for some of the QSRs, maybe they're going through a bit of a difficult patch. But I think in terms of potential, I would surely think that there's a lot more growth ahead of us, and it's time to kind of look at some of these companies.
QSR stocks, and that is where it is. I'm going to shift gears and talk about IRDA. What a listing! The stock was frozen. Now, middle of the day, suddenly the stock was not trading. Why it was not trading? Well, the listing had happened at a 57% premium, and the maximum a stock can go after that listing, once the benchmark is established, is 20%. And that's what the stock did yesterday. So for IRDA or IREDA, Hemang, what is the way forward now? Yesterday, it was really the showstopper, if I may use the word.
Yeah, absolutely, Nikunj. It's amazing to see the kind of euphoria, the retail participation, the frenzy in the IPO market, and in a way, it's good because it brings a lot of investors, and even the other investors would have some sort of a they would have to really look at what's really happening. But one word of caution here, Nikunj, is that typically when you see this kind of an exuberance and when the listing happens at a much higher price than what people would have thought, this kind of a momentum is not great news for people who are looking to buy into the market, having some sort of a missed out feeling. So I would certainly think that let's not get too gungo on what's happening in the IPO market. We've seen earlier period when there is so much of euphoria, it does not last too long. So a word of caution here, don't get too carried away. It's time to really focus on the large cap names, the banking names, the ones like you mentioned, some of the companies in the large caps which have not delivered any positive return. I see greater opportunity there rather than chasing some of the IPO names at a much higher levels.
Moving right on, what about Praj Industries? And curious to get in your take here, Hemang, given that the management has spoken about a lot of growth in product diversity, how they aim to triple their revenues by FY30 and reduce dependence on bioenergy. Given the steady trajectory of the stock, what's the view on Praj Industries if you track it?
Sure, the opportunity both in terms of ethanol and the entire ecosystem that Praj has built around it. I think you don't have too many companies. While in the ethanol space, the sugar companies there can be few names, but when it comes to the core infra and the ecosystem, Praj is the only name. So I think from a theme perspective, that is looking quite attractive. The stock has done well in the last, let's say, couple of years. But given the way things are shaping up in terms of the focus on ethanol, I think it will remain good for some more time. I think two-wheeler is where there is a fair bit of action, and recent data points in the festive sales, Hero Motor reported almost about 26% kind of a growth. So I think that is where I would be more comfortable buying into maybe Hero Motor or Bajaj Auto or Tata Motor, as we all know. Apart from the Tata Technology, I think the core business is shaping up pretty well. So I think these are some of the names that I would be more comfortable buying at this point.
Okay. Duresh, anything in the entire rank mid-cap space which looks very interesting, starting from Suzlon to JP?
On the show, we'll let you go on that note, counting down to the market open. But